never know when we're going to start recording, Tim. Been working out, have you?
No.
Did you do some curls today?
Not today.
No.
Today was legs.
Leg day.
The infamous leg day.
Of all days.
Well, here's what I did for my legs, for my calves. Here's what I did. After COVID, I got really fat. So I got fat and walked around on the fatness, you know?
On the fatness.
On the fatness.
That's a way to build calves.
Yeah, it's a 100. You hike on fatness, and you build that strength naturally without any. You don't need other weight. When you're 280 pounds.
Jeez, did you get up that big?
I got up like 278.
Yeah.
And Jenna called me puffy.
278.
She wouldn't call me fat. She goes, you were very puffy.
Puffy.
I'm like sitting about 184 right now.
Yeah, dude. I dropped. I had to the past year. I just decided it's.
So yeah, Tim, get on the Oreos, put on 100 pounds. You get those calves looking fine.
Yeah,
son.
bro. You don't even have to do legs anymore.
I can throw down on some cookies.
Yeah.
I like them. That's why I go to the gym so I can eat.
That's right.
You know, that's what I feel like too. But once you hit a certain age, it just does not fall off like it used to.
I bet I got both y'all pretty good. I'm 56.
Yeah, you're way old.
Yeah.
I mean, you and Billy Montana.
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden I woke up and I've like been doing this job for like 30 years. I've entered fully into my fourth decade.
Oh my
Wow.
It's 33 years in, but you know what I mean? It's like I'm into the fourth decade of doing this shit.
I know. I sit back and look at it because I've been in Nashville 26 years.
What year did you move?
98.
88, yeah.
Jeez, Tim. You're just beating everybody.
Damn, dude.
Well, I'm older than y'all. I mean, I was in school at 88. I started.
We were all in school at 88.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
College.
You weren't?
I started first grade in 89.
Damn.
If kindergarten counts.
Are you kidding me?
If kindergarten
God,
counts.
now I really feel old.
Is that not ridiculous?
But I'm also very young at heart because everybody I work
same.
with is in their 20s and 30s.
Welcome to Twang Town. I am David Tolliver.
And I am Colt and Mirsky.
Brisky.
And today we have with us Tim Hunze.
Oh, I get applause and everything.
You're kind of a big deal, Tim. People know you.
Yeah.
Rumors have it.
Your hair is legendary.
It's still here.
It looks great. Yeah.
Because when we met, probably it was really long.
It was just
like full on.
I mean, you had like damn. Like
I
my
look back
man.
at those pictures and go, why didn't somebody tell me it looked that bad?
I look back at them and go, why didn't I take prenatal vitamins? You know?
Believe it or not, I remember taking my wife's.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Well, it's supposed to make you, if you lose your pattern male baldness, it's supposed to make you, keep your hair. And my mom was like, when I was like 18, she says, you're going to lose your hair, right? And I'm like, you don't need to put that pressure on an 18-year-old.
Don't put that voodoo on me, Ricky Bobby.
I had hair until,
That's horrible.
About 7-8 years ago.
Then there was this whole phase where you're using horse shampoo. I remember buying
Mane and tail.
Yeah, there you go. Mane and tail.
Yeah. I had Propecia for a while to keep it,
Yeah.
you take this blood pressure medicine to where you cannot do any sexual activity, but you'll have hair. It's great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's what everybody wants in life.
It was God's little joke on me.
I'd
It's
rather
like,
lose the hair, keep the libido.
well, when I was 16, I really had no hair on my body. Like, I mean,
you made up for it, pal.
And I was like, God, can you just give me some hair? And he said,
You didn't specify that, did you?
Yeah. He's like, well, I'm going to take that off your head. I'm going to stick it right on your back.
Poof.
It's like praying for patience. That's a real dangerous game.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen.
I feel like a cilia. Or what is it? The little hairs in your...
Oh, cilia?
Yeah, cilia.
Yeah,
That's what I when I go swimming in a pool, that's what I feel like.
Your whole body
hear
tickles.
everything in the pool?
Yes. I feel all the vibrations.
It's like human sonar.
Yeah, I'm like I get like that shark thing going on. I'm like
Dun, dun,
like Shark Man,
dun, dun.
but with hair.
Hair.
Wow.
Hair Shark Man.
I
Shark
did
hair
not
man.
expect this to be the conversation on this podcast coming in here.
You know, Tim, neither did we, but here we are, so let's embrace it.
Obviously,
I'm
you've
in
never
it. I'm
listened
in it.
to
This is
podcast.
the epitome of Twang Down.
I did listen to a couple episodes.
Did you?
I mean, I say that I've listened to a few of them over the time that you guys have been doing it because I host I got to plug mine. AIMP Nashville Pubcast. So,
That's right.
You got to listen to all of them that are floating around.
Okay, it's fun. Come on our show and make people listen to you. It's cool.
Yeah, man, I'm all about
In
it.
a world
And then like my writer Troy Cartwright starts one and it blows the freak up, and you're like, what's it? Why?
10-year town.
Yeah. I was on his. I was a guest on his and got more comments on that than I did 3 years on the AIMP. Now it sounds like I'm dogging my own podcast.
His really did take off. It's really cool.
Brilliant marketing, and he's really damn good.
Yeah.
Well, you know, our
we do zero
team,
marketing.
Yeah.
We have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Please follow, like, and subscribe.
Please share, comment.
Well, I got to do it twice now.
We should do it. We should do it in the first of the podcast, in the middle, and at the end.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm David Tolliver.
Just
and I'm Colt
keep
Nursky.
Plugging it in there subliminally
Tim
in the
Hunze.
middle of an answer.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Sweaty balls.
Follow us.
Yeah.
Facebook,
Where
Twitter,
were you born,
Instagram.
Tim?
Where
Were you made?
Let's see.
Typically?
I said typically. I was born in Tampa, Florida.
Tampa, Florida.
Tampa General Hospital.
Ybor City?
1968. What's that?
Rolling cigars down there in Ybor City?
No. I didn't do any of that. Well, I only lived there long enough to say I was born there. I think we moved when I was like 2 or 3.
And where did you say you moved to?
I didn't, but now that you've asked, I moved to Birmingham, Alabama. Lived there all of my elementary years. And then in 1980 or 81, my dad got the opportunity to transfer to Knoxville, Tennessee, where he was born and raised, where my grandparents were. We moved there.
So a roundabout way, you ended up in Tennessee.
That's how I got to Tennessee.
And your
I was not
family's
very
from
pleased
Tennessee.
about that move.
No?
I had a girlfriend. No. Was in a school I liked.
Birmingham's a cool town.
It's huge now.
Yeah.
It went through what Nashville's doing in its day.
You got that Christ the Redeemer up on the hill over there?
It's a big church.
It is a big church, yeah.
The Vulcan, the dude on the
The
thing.
dude, yeah, that guy.
That's how I always knew we were coming back from the beach. You go, oh, there's the Vulcan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or leaving for the beach, you know.
So I liked it. I don't get back there much anymore. I still got some friends down there. And then from Knoxville here, and like I said, 1988.
What did you do growing up in Birmingham? Were you in music at all, or did you play in something, or did you?
Well, that was the beginning. If people always ask that, I don't know if y'all have one. You get that question like, what music? My mom was an avid music listener. So we always had music on. And she would buy, back in the day when you're shopping, you're cruising through the mall, they always had the point of purchase, like little 45s. So she bought a lot. We had tons of 45s of whatever was popular. My mom loved to buy that. But then she made friends with this lady down the street who had a son that was a little bit older than me. And I remember one time I was over there and goes, hey, man, have you heard of Kiss? I'm like, no. So go down to his basement. This is going to sound really like 1970s, and it was. Go down to his basement. He had all the black lights and the velvet paintings and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he put on this record, Dressed to Kill, and that was it. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And she bought me a cheesy see-through plastic drum, or probably plastic drum set from Sears for Christmas one year. Yeah. That was it. I've been chasing music since I was probably like 12.
That's funny you mentioned Kiss. We were at the Municipal Auditorium a couple of weekends ago for my daughter's cheer competition, and on one of the poles in the corridor or whatever, concourse.
Wow, fancy names.
Yeah, there was a poster of Kiss. It was Gene Simmons, doing the 12-inch tongue. My daughter walked up to him and goes, "Daddy, oh my gosh, this is disgusting." Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, how do you explain Kiss to a 7-year-old?"
I don't think you can.
Here's an even better one. I remember my mom and dad went to Chicago for some conference my dad was doing. And my mom came back. She was so excited, which I God bless my mom. She was pretty awesome. And she comes into my grandparents where we were staying. And I remember coming in the door and she holds up Kiss Alive 2 that has that Gene with the blood coming out of his mouth. And she goes, look what we bought you. And my brother and I both, we're like 19 months apart. We're like, oh my gosh. I just remember the look on my grandmother's face. Why in the world would you buy them that record? Like, I could have been more than like, at that time I was probably, when did I say first? Yeah, probably 12.
Wow.
They were not pleased.
That was pretty hardcore for when you were 12 years old back in the day.
They had songs like Hotter Than Hell, Love Gun.
Yeah. Love Gun.
Of course, I'll be honest. For the longest time, I had no idea what the hell that meant.
Yeah.
And then I did. I was like, oh my God. You start listening to Kiss records, let me put my log into your fire. At the time I was a kid, I'm thinking, he's really making the girl a fire.
That's right. He's so romantic.
I learned.
Dude, I remember going out and getting remember Poison? Open up and say ah.
Oh yeah.
Because when it came out on cassette tape, which is a very old timey phrase, we would go to Hazard to get our music, which is 20 miles away from where I grew up because we didn't have a music store in Heinemann. And you'd go get it, and I was late to the party. So one of the boys in my school got the tape with the demon on the front with the tongue, huge tongue,
yeah.
and then they censored it.
They censored the tongue.
They censored the tongue, like church groups, and everybody just went crazy against it. This is back before social media
or whatever it was.
Yeah, but he had it. He had the one, the special edition. It's
nice.
like
the uncensored
I had
tongue.
one with the blocked out tongue. It was just they basically just put a block over. I'm glad I'm doing this one.
Yeah,
we're not
so
even have
everybody
video.
can see
Yeah,
it,
people
yeah.
can't see that.
Yeah, what I'm doing is David puts his hand over his mouth and talks into the microphone, which is stupid. But they put a block over it, and it was But same, back then they were letting Gene do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Then they got all crazy. I remember they started trying to censor music.
stuff.
That were great times.
Yeah,
Music.
before they put the sticker.
Yeah. Then you really wanted the record.
Yeah. Oh,
So I got to have that one.
Yeah.
That's
Got
the one.
sticker on it. Must
Yeah.
be good.
dude,
Yeah, that whole what does it say? Parental advisory sticker.
Yep.
Totally backfired
Yep.
because now that's the one all the kids
Everybody
wanted.
wants it.
Yes.
Yeah.
People go through, cycles of all that. I remember when WAP came out, everybody's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're saying this."
What is
Did
that,
you
Tim?
even listen to any of Missy Elliott's stuff back in the day, or some Too Short? I mean, that stuff was
Too short? Yeah.
the Two Live Crew.
Oh,
God,
Two Live
man, that
Crew.
stuff was all about all that stuff.
NWA. Dude, I was a gangster rap guy when I was in high school.
That does not necessarily surprise me.
I had put my house speakers in the back of my car and wired them up. No amp. So it didn't make a difference. But I felt like it was better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too Short, DJ Quick,
Yeah.
Kid Rock's first album, which was
that was a
Yodeling
banger.
in the Valley. Not that one.
Oh.
The original one when he was a rapper.
Yeah.
Yodeling in the Valley.
Never heard that one.
Hee-hoo. 100%. It's terrible.
It's terrible
Awful. This is like 90,
because
1990, 91?
Devil Without a Cause was amazing.
Yeah, but
Well, that
he
was
got a
game
lot
changer.
better.
Yeah, people learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. You seen Post Malone's thing going around?
From him when he first started.
What the heck? Why'd
was
you
bad.
lie?
That was
What the-
bad.
It was awful.
Bad.
Kind of turns me on a little bit, but it's fine.
Hey, we all have stuff we're not proud of in
Yeah.
the back.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Again, let's go back to my hair back in the early
hair's
90s. Oof.
Yeah, you had perfect hair.
Yeah, no, not back then. It was just poofy. Poofy.
You have very curly hair.
Yeah, it's a
I
gift
can
from
imagine.
my father, actually.
Yeah.
But he was high and tight. He was a military guy, so
Oh.
he didn't let his hair get long.
Did he like your hippie lifestyle?
Hell no. No. The number of fights I got in for either my hair. I went to Catholic high school.
Yeah.
And I was told I was supposed to cut my hair because it was over my collar.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have earrings. so
Have
I'd
they
have to
seen
flip it
pictures of
around.
Jesus?
No,
Right?
apparently not. I think
Lord
that's
and Savior
actually an
had long
argument
hair.
I had. My joke used to be I was pretty close with the principal. I liked, as a whole, it was all right, the school, being a Catholic school. But I was jokingly say there's a lot of new rules in the rule book because of me and some of my friends because we just push the limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Couldn't spike your hair, couldn't color your hair if you're a guy. That was a big deal.
Oh.
You had to shave, keep
Yeah.
it nice and trim.
That's ridiculous. The way they treat kids.
And yeah, you got paddle with real paddle. Nuns would whap your knuckles with rulers.
Youch.
They'd throw chalk at you.
Did their paddles have holes in them?
Yeah.
Get
With a little air.
You got to keep it from slowing down
Yeah.
as they hit you.
You could hear him. You could hear Principal Garrity whooping somebody in the hall in his office in the hallways. You could hear that whap. You knew what was going on there.
Dude,
Like, "Ooh."
our worst was Mrs. Thornsberry. She had some heft behind her paddle.
Yeah.
You know, she had that hip turn going
she a
on.
large woman?
She could swing that shit around.
Yeah.
She was strong.
And
She
then
was
they always-
strong.
They do the thing. Assume the position.
Yep.
It's either grab the back of the chair or your ankles. One or
Dude.
the other. It was coming.
She would be like, all right, out in the hallway. And it didn't go, you went in the hallway.
Yeah.
There wouldn't,
Oh,
yeah.
public.
So she would take you in the hallway,
Public
shut
flogging.
that door, and you knew exactly what was going on up there. 'Cause it was a whah!
I had a buddy, his dad was a teacher for years, and he said he wanted out toward the end. He goes, schools changed when we couldn't touch the kids anymore. That sounded really bad. But you couldn't physically,
You're not making it better.
you couldn't punish them. No corporal punishment.
Okay, that's better.
Let's clarify that statement.
You couldn't physically touch them anymore.
Yeah. So
Not
that's
in
when
the
it all
bad
changed.
way.
Not good nor bad. It was
Show
allowed.
us on this doll where Tim Hunze touched you.
I did go to
Oh.
a Catholic high school. I said that right.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
It's just falling in
Those are a
place.
little old for you, for the Catholics, though, right?
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
this is going down a bad road.
Dude,
Retreat.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So
I need to get one of these sound machines. I don't have
it's
one of those.
man, it's quite clever, isn't it?
Yeah. I like it.
It's a fun little interface.
We're
I
high
like it.
tech.
I guess that was a Colt pickup. You found that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Of course.
Did you play in bands?
Oh, yeah.
Drummer?
I was supposed to be a rock star.
Yeah.
Didn't have it.
Same.
I moved here and realized there's a lot better musicians.
It's funny, isn't it?
You know, we had just enough conversations with A&R people and stuff. Funny enough, the one that I did the best in was a guy that ended up starting a record label and putting his music out. It was R&B. I was a white drummer in an R&B band.
Nice.
Great. But he did great. He was a fantastic singer. Name's JD. He was best man in my wedding. Also, the guy I accuse of getting me into bodybuilding. He was a bodybuilder. Huge. He was a good guy to walk around with being clubs in.
Yeah.
People didn't really mess with him. He was ginormous. Yeah. And could sing his butt off. It was crazy.
Two great combinations.
Yeah, man. Played all the fraternities back in the day. We had a 9-piece band.
Where'd you go to college?
2 years at UT, Knoxville, go Vols. And then I transferred to MTSU.
Oh, nice.
There. Go Raiders.
Yeah. What'd you study?
Well, UT, I was marketing and major, and then I was doing a music performance. That's in my head was a music business degree. Not at all. Was that a music business degree?
No.
When I learned about MTSU, because again, these weren't as advertised. Like you didn't really know about this stuff. But JD, who I was working with, was older than me, and he had a producer here in town that was going to work with him. And I said, well, I don't want to stay in Knoxville. So I looked around and looked up MTSU, got their catalog, and realized I had a music business program. It was done. I was like, oh, yeah, we're doing that. So I transferred music business.
Well, growing up, you don't really think about that you can get that kind of degree.
Yeah. No. I remember when I first moved here and met some songwriters and producers and stuff. They're like, yeah, you should look at Belmont, and they have a music business program. I was like, a music business program? I was like, you can major in music business? I was like, you sign me up. I didn't even apply anywhere else.
I mean, I got the whole engineering. You had like Full Sails around and those kind of things.
Full Sail.
That makes sense to me, but music, you can teach that. When they started doing songwriting as a degree, I was like, this is got to be a joke. But then I realized
was the same way.
They got great teachers. I've guested in some of the classes, gone and spoke, and they do. I mean, they had Shapiro back in the day. Gorley was a teacher. They get great teachers.
I always said, rather than them give $70,000 to Belmont, I would take that $70,000, and they could just follow me around a few hours every week.
Well, there is that point.
Yeah,
but as a number of them would say, their parents wanted them to have a degree.
I never liked it personally as a degree. I mean, if you wanted a minor in songwriting, okay, but I still feel like you should have the music business foundation because, as we all know, just because you graduate the songwriting major doesn't mean a publisher in town is just going to hand you a publishing agreement.
No plan B.
Damn it, Tim.
I still don't understand music business, and I've been in it for 30 years.
Same. The more I know, the less I know.
Yeah.
It definitely applies. Anybody that tells me, I got this figured out, I'm like, joke. If you got it figured out. No, it's a game. Part of it is because we work in Vegas, Yeah. So every day you're just pulling the hammer down.
Well, that's what people ask is like, what's it like songwriting? I'm like, it's getting paid to play the lottery, basically.
Yeah.
Because, you never know when you're going to walk in and write a number one. Or, as Brett James says, this is the second time I wrote a number one. This is the second number one I wrote in the same day.
Yeah, with Kenny Chesney.
Yeah. Good Lord, have mercy.
Yeah, he was one. I worked with him for a few years, and he had this great quote. He goes, you never know, you just show up to the office. You never know what's going to happen.
No.
So, for anybody that's like, you're lost your third, you don't show up. I'm like, always show up.
Yeah.
That's what his quote. Always show up because you never know what's going to happen.
Buddy, I show up unless I'm sick. And then nobody wants me to show up.
I like it when you have to remind your writers that I actually pay you to write, right? You know that? Like, why are you not showing up today?
It's amazing. It's you don't complain about songwriting to me. It's not easy, but it's easy.
Yeah,
I've had real jobs. I've built houses and roofed, and
I worked at a dry cleaning plant.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh no,
that's enough to teach you that you don't want to work with that. Like
no, we've been waiting tables.
I did like waiting tables. Not gonna lie,
I would sweat. Go back and throw that cornstarch on your.
I like talking to people, man.
Yeah.
I like people. So it was a good job.
That's where we differ, Tim.
That does track for a songwriter.
I don't
talking your music.
Yeah.
I worked for a manager. Well, my partner in parallel was a manager, so we had a manager in our office that did day-to-day management and stuff. And he was always surprised. End of the year, he goes, how do he came in like all seriousness. He came in my office toward the end. It was like December. And, you know, all the writers are like, man, I'm just crispy. I'm burnt. I need a break. And he comes in and goes, okay, man, I need you to explain something to me. Because these guys come in at like 11. They leave them around 3. They write 3-4 days a week. And how are they tired? What the hell are they doing? I said, look, man, I get it from the outside when you look at that sounds like, you know, easy cush. But I said, have you ever tried to just create something out of nothing all day, every single day of your life?
For years and years and years.
That's stressful. Like, you got to refill that cup a lot, man. Yeah, no one knows what it's like to create. Like, unless you truly create anything, whether it's painting, write a book, it takes a certain level of acumen that most people don't have.
It's a lot of brain power, you know. You may not be physically exhausted, but mentally, that's a lot of strain on the brain, right, David?
It really, I mean, it is. I understand. You just don't want to. When I'm at the end of the year, it's just one of those. It's not that I'm tired and the burnt thing wears on me a little bit, but it's like I don't want to write the same thing over and over again, and you'll get into a habit of that, and you need a break for just a little bit to get the freshness back into it. Yeah. And there is something to said for, you know, taking that break and you know, refilling your coffer.
How do you do that? What do you do for that?
I don't listen to music, which is weird. I'll listen to like comedy radio. You know, I'll just take a break from everything. You almost get fatigue in your ears because you listen to music, you listen to demos, you play music all day long, you play shows. You get a little tired. You get fatigued from music, and I will take a complete break from it all.
Do you read or watch
movies? I read. I started reading quite a bit a few years ago, and that has helped my brain a lot.
I forget which one it was. When I was younger, it was like a Tony Lane or one of those level guys that said, read with reckless abandon. I think it was, or Tom Douglas maybe, but reading helps. And
either guy would be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So I knew writers that would go back there. Used to be, what was the bookstore? Was it a Barnes & Noble? It was off West End, and they would take breaks and just go there and peruse the bookshelves, just looking for ideas and stuff.
I mean, we're all writers. Yeah. You know, and some like authors, I've got some stuff from Hemingway, you know, you get stuff from Stephen King, you get ideas or lines or a different way to look at a situation in life.
It is hard to come up with the hook. Although you do know, like all of a sudden you have this experience where the same title appears often from different camps of your writers
at the same time.
And then you're watching a movie or something and that line comes up and you're like, oh, there it is. This is why everybody's writing it. I do believe there's like a songwriter consciousness. You're all looking for the same thing. And whether it's a popular book or a TV show and you're like, oh, there it is. That's where everybody's getting this idea from.
I remember the story about You Had Me at Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, who was it? Wiseman? Or somebody was watching in the theater and immediately left right then and went and wrote the song.
Yeah.
And then the next day there were like 4,000. Oh, yeah. You Had Me at Hellos.
Yeah. Drew Alexander used to give the writers gift cards to movie theaters.
Yeah.
And because you know, again, writing scripts and people are acting it out. And it's like, there's a great way to get song ideas.
Yeah, it is. What was your first job in town in Nashville?
In Nashville, believe it or not, when I moved here, I transferred. I was working at Red Lobster, and I worked at the Red Lobster that is no longer there on Murfreesboro Road. It was an interesting one.
Transferred from Knoxville,
Red Lobster? Then they asked me, I technically quit, but I was either, I could quit or they're going to let me go because I was giving beers away to the staff. So,
what was your position?
Hard. I was a barback bartender.
Okay.
Then I got a job at Courtyard Cafe. Do y'all remember the Courtyard Cafe?
Dude, that's...
Y'all been around a while then.
Chad, my duo partner, his band was the house band after the Warren Brothers out there. It was like Phil Vassar, the Warren Brothers, and then Chad's band Sodium.
Technically, that was part 2 of the Courtyard. That was Courtyard when they did it in front of the... or had it, and they had the Hard Knocks nightclub underneath it. The original one was up the street in a strip mall, and that's where I worked. With Nathan.
That one.
What, they go in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam was the owner's name, I think.
Assam, yeah.
Assam, we called him Sam.
Yeah, that's what he went by.
Yeah.
Well, originally Nathan Lee owned it, and Nathan was great, Italian guy from Philadelphia. Great boss. He tried to open one up in I don't know, Green Hills or something, or no, Cool Springs, and he got overextended and ended up having to sold it to some, and it wasn't quite the same after that. But yes, Phil was there all the time.
Yeah.
And true story. And then funny enough, there was another guy, Sam Mullins, who used to come and play all the time, and his son and my daughter are now married, which is freaking weird. Because my daughter one day randomly texted me, "Do you know a guy named Sam Mullins? Same guy that used to play at the Courtyard Cafe. He was a songwriter as well." Yeah. And she goes, "Yeah, well, Lynn's his son." And I was like, "You're kidding me!" And I knew that they'd been seeing it, so that's funny. Like,
that's crazy.
What years were you there?
That'd have been probably end of 88, 89. And I worked there for like a couple years because I lived right there. And then I worked at the Shoney's off. I lived right there in an apartment when I first moved to town off 24 and Bell.
Yeah.
Right behind that Shoney's.
That's when you could live there.
Yeah. And it was like $365 for a 2-bedroom.
Dude, yeah. That was, I mean, Hickory Hollow Mall used to be the mall to go to.
Oh, that was a great place to live at the time.
It was wonderful. And then something happened. I don't know.
Yeah. I met a girl there too, and she ended up pregnant, left me and for this other dude, and I found out I have a 33-year-old daughter. That's new news.
What?
Wow. Yeah. That all happened in the Courtyard. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I got grandkids, everything. It's awesome.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
All right.
Breaking news on the 20 Town Podcast.
Just your first
follow
news
us,
first.
like, subscribe, Twitter,
we
Instagram,
found each
Facebook.
other in August. Well,
This is a girl you worked with at Courtyard Cafe?
There was a girl there, yeah.
And y'all did some stuff?
Yeah,
you hugged laying down?
Yeah.
That's fine.
She had a boyfriend I was unaware of. And then they got engaged, and somewhere in there she ended up pregnant. We didn't know whose it was.
Wow. So your daughter was 33 when you first met her?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Kaylee.
Dude.
How did y'all connect?
My daughter with my wife, who's 30, got on Ancestry.com.
No way.
This is blowing my mind right now, dude.
Yeah.
Like, Dad, I have a sister.
She called me and was freaking out. Yeah. She was
Wow.
pretty like, she's like, "Dad, I got something to tell you.
That's such a, it's like Elf.
Yeah. It was a whole thing because she didn't know. The dad kind of was always wondered. The mom and the dad have been divorced.
Yeah.
I shouldn't really
that's
running this. I didn't really tell her I was going to put this on a podcast.
No, I was just prying because that happened to me as a kid. I found out who my real dad was when I was 14. Through a similar circumstance.
Just by happenstance?
No. Long story short, the guy who I thought was my dad did a paternity test on me when I was 14, and it came back that I wasn't his kid. And my mom was like, "Well, it could only been one other person." And then I meet my real dad, and like we look just alike, So.
Oh yeah. Kaylee and I look. She has the hair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Got the curly hair.
Genetics are strong.
Yeah.
But anyway, my
Dude,
daughter.
that's great. Congratulations.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
my oldest daughter that my wife and I raised till Kaylee came around. Now she's my. I got to get used to that. But she's the one who figured it out, and I'd forgotten. Not forgotten's the wrong word. I think I repressed it because that was a pretty rough breakup when somebody leaves and you don't know what's happening there.
Yeah,
but,
it's tough.
But yeah, it's been pretty awesome. She's amazing. She's an amazing kid, and she lives in Tullahoma. So
she into music or anything?
No, her dad is. He was a student at MTSU too in the music business program. But I don't want to say too much as I don't know. I'm really talking about it.
Okay.
Give him away. But yeah. No, she lives with her husband. He's an IT guy that works in cloud. The cloud IT stuff. It's above my pay grade.
That's amazing, man.
And she works for Amazon as a level 4 supervisor or something.
Wow.
So,
well, congrats,
Yeah.
Daddy and Grandpa.
What was your first? So you you did the thing we all do. It's the restaurant job for a little while. And when did you jump into this music business life? What was your first job in the business?
Well, as it would be when you graduate, which was also the semester after everything I just explained in a broken relationship, I couldn't find a job in Nashville. And I honestly didn't see myself here. I was like, Atlanta was looking pretty dope because back in those days, it was hopping. It had LaFace Records was down there. Dallas Austin had DARP down there. There was a lot of really cool R&B and hip hop, which I was also into. So, in LA, because I'm a rocker, that was something. So I moved back home and was sending out. I probably had the box somewhere of all the sorry, we're not going to hire you. Because back then, kids, it wasn't email, so I had to mail letters and resumes and call people.
Yeah.
So the guy, JD, that I moved down with, being cocky, I was like, dude, all we need is money. I know how to do this. This is easy. I know how to run a record label. If we just had some money, well, that joker found somebody who was willing to give us money. So we started a record label.
No way.
Did a whole album. Actually recorded down here at what was 16th Avenue Sound, which is where Young Guns is. It was a full studio with a banging SSL. So we came up here, recorded an album, did a video, got the video on BET, song, did, when I say break, it was like the bottom of the top 200 of the charts, but it did get charted, and there was only 3 of us. Like we were calling all the radio stations ourselves, the artists, myself included. Because, you know, when you go to school, you learn that's what you do. You got to get airplay. One thing we missed was we never were able to line up distribution. So while we were getting airplay and getting some video play, we did not have the record in stores to buy.
Yeah.
You can't make money if you don't have a record.
There's no streaming back then.
Streaming.
Yeah.
So that was fun, and I learned a lot. Like, it was great. That lasted probably about a year, and in that time, I met my wife, and we got at the time, and then we ended up getting married, and I was like, I need a job. I stayed close to my intern supervisor. Her name was Cheryl Lindsay. She worked at Sony Records. I interned in the publicity department, despite this publicity's not my thing.
Yeah.
Learned that, but she and I just hit it off. We ended up actually moving in an apartment across from where, in the same complex she was in. But she said one day, she called me, she goes, hey, I think I have the perfect job for you. You need to give me your resume. And I came down on a Wednesday and interviewed at a place called Great Cumberland Music Group. And they hired me on Friday. I was living in Knoxville, married, with an apartment and a job, making $8 an hour. That's important because they offered me $6 an hour. I'm like, I can't move down there for $6 an hour. So they bumped it to $7. And I said, well, when do you want me to start? And they're like, can you start Monday? I'm like, yeah, no, I got an apartment and stuff, dude. I got to move. So they said, well, how about Wednesday?
Wow.
This was in February. And I remember driving down to Nashville and on a Sunday, stayed in a hotel, and I spent Monday and Tuesday driving all around town in a dang snowstorm to find an apartment. Ended up finding one in Nashboro Village, and then my wife moved everything down here that weekend with her brother.
Wow.
Started in the tape room of Great Cumberland, which was, at the time when Great Cumberland started, it was a partnership with Bill Ham and Jimmy Bowen. Bill had just bought Jimmy out because Chuck Howard worked there.
Yeah.
Herky used to work there. Yeah.
Turkey.
So they were running it. So basically when they bought out, they all left. And he started Diamond Struck, I think is where Chuck went. But we had Tom Shapiro, Chuck Jones, Chris Waters, Keith Folizay.
Wow.
Nancy Montgomery, for those that remember. This is like a few. Rick, did I say Rick Jaws? Yeah, Chris Waters. So, you know, those were the heavy hitters. And so I got lucky because I took a job in a place I had no idea, none. I was clueless, and I didn't really know what publishing was. I just knew I could do what they asked. You know, they had little demos to do. Can you run vocals? Yeah, I can do all that. And came down and started and figured out real quick that publishing was awesome. Like, man, I was like, it's the epicenter of the creativity here. And then they worked with artists, they had writers, they had studios. We were above where Black River is and Soundstage. That was my first office upstairs.
Oh, cool.
And that was, again, Bill Ham owned it. And then he also had Stradivarius, which was a partnership with him and James Stroud. He eventually merged those together around, I started in 93. And so around 94, 95, he put all his companies together. We also had a co-venture with Christy DiNapoli. It was called Square West Music, which was Little Texas.
Yeah.
So this company was rocking.
Yeah.
And Jeff Carlton ended up running the whole thing. And so the rest is kind of history.
Man, all those names, Jeff Carlton and a lot of those writers you just named, we have in the Curb catalog. I think Mike bought part of that catalog with Chris Waters and Rick Giles and Tom Shapiro.
I'm sure he bought Chuck's part.
Yeah.
Chuck made a lot of money.
It was probably Chuck's part then. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Because that
was way before my time.
That'd have been, because let's see, I don't know when Great Cumberland started, but in there was, I don't know if Chuck had a part of all that, but that was Clint Black was what started the company.
It's a small percentage Curb owns of a lot of those songs. But like all those writers, I'm like, oh, I know all those writers just from them being in the Curb catalog or whatever percentage Mike owns of it.
Man, when you learn though, man, like Tom was really gracious. They were all gracious, but Tom in particular took a liking to me. And I used to run around with Chuck Jones. He was cool, man. He was the really cool kid. Always had his leather jacket. And he went to the Guitar Institute, wicked guitar player, just the coolest cat. He and his wife Becky. But Tom really took me under his wing and just taught me like how writers think and what they do and how he processed stuff and how songs were written. And it just was a great, he was the one that gave me the best advice. He said, if you take care of the creatives, you'll always have a job. That always stuck with me.
Yep. You know? It's true.
It's not really about it's about you guys as writers. Like if you serve them well and listen and really lift them up, then the rest will take care of itself.
We talked about that at length on here. It's like, I mean, it's the old adage of it all begins with a song.
Yeah.
There'd be none of this. This building would not be here without songs. This town wouldn't be what it is without songs.
Some really great mentors. Carlton was amazing. Chip Hardy used to work there. He was fantastic. I worked with Tabitha Eads, Jeff Twill. Then we started getting bought out. But I got bought out, and I don't remember. Lisa Ramsey came over, and then
You're foreshadowing what I consider your theme of the music business. I can't. You know more than me, but you always got bought out.
Oh yeah, I had 5 different One time I took a picture of my business cards and it was Lutheran. I put that on one of the social medias and he was like, unbelievable. But the thing is, I worked for the same catalog for 18 years.
Wow.
Like when BMG finally bought it, I'd been with that catalog for 18 years of my life. And it was an amazing catalog. So I had deep knowledge because I was also the tape guy. So you learn because you hear them all in real time.
That's how you learn them.
The good, the bad, all of it. But, Mosaic Media Group bought us. They were based out of L.A., and the guy that ran the publishing for them was a guy named Lionel Conway. And Lionel's infamous. He used to work at Dick James way back when he was 15. And if anybody knows who Dick James is, they had the Beatles.
Yeah.
And Elton John. And he worked with those cats.
15 years old?
Yeah. Yeah. He just posted, he just had his 86th birthday. He was in Jamaica with his good friend Chris Blackwell because he ran Island Publishing for Chris back in the day. And he has spent 71 years in the music business uninterrupted. And he's still working. He works for Epitaph's publishing company, Mothership. Still doing it, still signing acts at 86.
That's wild.
But he was a mentor because if I've ever met anybody, I always told him when I grew up, I want to be like Lionel in some regards because his passion for music is unwavering. Like he just knows when he hears something, he knows it. He has a great ear and a great gut, and it's just amazing. So, so I learned so much from him on international publishing and buying and selling catalogs and what publishing as a global entity look like. And then Steve Lewis in Stage 3 bought us 4 years later.
That's where I met you.
Yeah, 04.
Was when you were Stage 3.
I had Pinson back then. We had him in Hamstein right as it sold, and he was kind of my cornerstone of Stage 3. That's
you were
when
in
he started
a house
hitting.
up here on the corner, right?
Yeah.
What was that? It was right on the corner of Houston, Halston, or no, I don't know what it is. It's
Horton.
right up Horton. There you go. Yep. That's where
that was Mosaic originally.
Yeah.
And then it became Stage 3. But yeah, Bobby had a writing room upstairs.
Yeah, I remember it well. That's
Him
the first
and Trent
time
Thomason
I met him.
used to write up there all the time, and then I'd hear banging around, go up there, and they'd be wrestling on the floor, beating each other up. And go, boys, what are we doing? I pull up in the mornings, the yellow truck would be there, and I'm like, Bobby was down on the Demonbian Strip again.
Yep.
And he found his way back to the office.
We shared a lot of time together down there back in those days.
Me too, in those days. I'd bang on his door like at 10, hey, your writing appointment's here, and he'd roll off the couch. All right, give me a minute, man. But he was such a loyal. He was one of my. We just came up together, me and Pinson. Like it was us dude. Against the world. When you sign one of those writers.
Mm-hmm. And, I was with him the night he met Lucy.
Oh yeah,
met his wife. We were at Tenerife.
Oh,
he's like, I'm going to talk to that girl. I was like, you won't do it. I was like, I will. I was like, you won't. He did.
Yeah. He's
amazing.
A good one. He was really good to me. We had a lot of fun. It's fun when you vision something out, because we signed him at Hamstein. So, he came across my desk and the team, we're going to sign this guy. And me and Lisa were there and worked with him at Mosaic and got his record deal. But then it just took off. He had that Want To with the Sugarland.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And then Toby, the story goes like this. We'd heard that one of Toby's favorite albums on his bus was Bobby's record. And
Man Like Me.
Yeah.
Or Shadows of the Heartland was his first one.
Yeah.
Right?
Shadows of the Heartland.
Yeah.
And Man Like Me was actually one of his old school ones. No, he had one. Oh, what was it called?
Yeah, the first, what was the really old
Business,
one?
something business. I have that at home. Like his
Yeah,
indie
I remember
record
it. Yeah.
where he's walking down a dirt road.
Yeah.
I have that somewhere. I have all his stuff. But anyway, Lisa knew TK really well. She was close with Toby. So she reaches out and he's like, he loves him. So he started going out on the road and writing with him. And, and it just all hit.
Dude.
And it just took off. He's still one of the best writers.
He's amazing. He's
Yeah.
amazing. I know I feel terrible for him because I was with him when he was on the phone with Toby and it just was all going sideways for Toby and Bobby was just brokenhearted. I felt so bad for him.
Yeah.
Even though he puts out that exterior.
Oh,
He's big heart dude.
a lot of people talk, there's the Pinson, we all know, the boisterous, self-deprecating Bobby, but there's never been a more loyal friend.
Very true.
And I'll remember when my wife was attacked in 04. Were y'all around that?
I remember that.
No.
He's the kind of guy that you could pick up the phone because my wife had mentioned earlier that day before that happened, I talked to her. She had a cleaning business, so that's why she was down here. And she'd mentioned she saw Bobby and Lucy at the office. So when I went to go see her at the ER, I had my little girl with me, and I didn't think about it. When you get this kind of phone call that your wife's being carted off to the hospital because she was attacked, you don't think. So I grabbed my kid and I just ran to the hospital. I met Vandy, and the nurse is like, "You can't have your daughter here. We can't take her back there."
Yeah.
So the first person I called, Bobby Pinson, showed up, took care of my kid.
Wow.
He's also the most loyal guy. Always had my back, no matter what. I mean, he would agree. We got some gray hairs together. We got some scraps, but on the other side, he's one of the best dudes I've ever had in my corner. If you're getting in any kind of anything, Bobby will be there. He'll drop everything for you.
Very true.
So anyway. Always like to throw that out there. That's the other side of Pinson.
He's the other side of Pinson.
He's a big softy that loves hard, man. So
How long were you stage 3?
Stage 3 went from 05-ish, I think, to good 2010. I guess 5 years. I had a run there where about every 5 years we got sold, and so that sold to BMG.
Yeah.
And I went along and merged in there for about 8 months, and then they had just bought Chrysalis. They bought so many mid-sized companies, as you recall. And after they bought Chrysalis, they kind of did a reassessment, as I'd call it. It was like, all of us got re-interviewed, and I was like, this is not going to end well.
Yeah.
And because I had so much staff, and I was one of the unfortunates, and they call it a transition, we'll call it. And there was a bunch of us let go at one day. So that's when I started Parallel.
I remember Drew and I went over there and visited you over at Cummins Station.
Yeah.
And you were showing us around, and there was this really long room with a table that went down the middle of the room, and there was people on either side of the table, and all they were doing just sitting there. I don't know what they were doing.
Oh.
Just inputting songs or something. But there must have been 20 people around this table just going to town on data entry.
Oh, yeah. That was the admin teams.
I was like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah. There was IT guys that were there for a while too, so I don't remember which ones you were seeing, but that was all the admin because that was Evergreen. That building was owned by Evergreen, and they bought that, so we kind of all merged in there, and that was a learning. I have to kick my mic. That was a learning experience because there's no way you're going to throw 5 or 6 mid-sized companies together, and then people are losing their point. And not everybody was surviving those buyouts.
Yeah,
and no one knew what was going on or who was who. But I went back to that old adage of take care of the creatives. And I just started calling writers that I knew were on the roster because I bought Cherry Lane, and my buddy Bart Allman was writing there. Yeah. And, I found out we had all these artists were calling that they had deals with, and all these out of nowhere. There was they had no one to talk. I just told that front desk that anybody calls, just send them my way. Yeah. I just started trying to take care of the writers best you can, because none of us wanted that. But, the way I look at it, I like to I'm a positive kind of guy. It's like you can't, in order to have fertile soil, you got to kind of till it every now and again. Yeah. And when this happens in town, and it inevitably does, I've seen it once every 10 years, somebody comes in and consumes a lot of these successful small companies. Like we have a bunch of them right now. Watch, it'll happen again, and they'll get bought. But what that does is some of the writers don't have a place anymore, and then some of the great executives will either see the light and jump, or being shown the way to jump, and and then you get all these new companies starting, and so it's just kind of the nature of the business, great circle of life, so to speak. So for anybody that's out there, you think it's the worst thing in the world. Jeff Carlton and Chip always joked with me when I first started. They said, "You're not really made it in the music business till you've been fired," and and I get that after having gone through an experience.
Guess I haven't made it yet.
I legally have to say I think transitioned, but I was transitioned out. But it creates, if you know what you're doing, you'll figure something out. And I can say through every buyout and through everything we went through, usually the highest paid and the guy because it wasn't always a guy, the person that was running the company got shown the door. Typically, they keep the lower paid person that knows everything, which is me, because I was a tape guy. That's how I survived.
Yeah,
because I was smart. It's because I knew everything. I knew where all the bodies were, so I just kept going up until I was in the top seat. And I told Missy Roberts at the time, because she was, it was her first time going through all that. I said, "Look, you're safe. I'm sitting in the ejector seat. You'll be all right." And even if you're not, everybody I know that was good at what they did all found places. Writers, staff. They'll all be all right, even though it's just the most miserable thing to go through.
It's scary, man. It's scary.
So that's where I also learned to appreciate what writers go through. Because on the other side, talking about what you live year to year. No one can really explain to you how stressful that is, that you live by someone else's decision every year. Your contract comes up for an option, and you're hoping you're doing the best you can, and it's so out of your control. You can be the best at what you're doing, writing the best songs, but there's a whole section of this that's out of all of our control.
And it's not if you're not successful. Sometimes it just doesn't work between you and the company. Sometimes you're not successful, and it's justified.
We all go through it, but at the end of the day, if you're really good, you'll find your way. And I can say that just from experience. The first buyout was probably the most stressful. I learned to not go out a lot because everybody's got an opinion, or, "Hey man, you know what I hear?" You heard everything out on the street well before the company's telling you what's happening. You're like, "No, you can't really know." You go back and go, "Hey, I hear this." They're like, "Yeah, that's happening." You're like, "Oh, great. Didn't know that." So you learn to just not go out. You're like, "I'm just going to sit at home, man. I don't want to hear all the rumors." I keep seeing that rumor plaque. So
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Lee. So, anyway, that's my journey. Not everybody's had it. Some people can stay somewhere.
Where were you at after Parallel?
Parallel, I sold it to Olay.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Which is now Anthem. But then I went to work for him because I was hanging out with our good friend John Ozier.
Johnny O.
He was on last week, actually.
God has been good to me because it's always divine. We were actually at a board meeting for the AIMP, and we were just having lunch. And I was kind of getting desperate with the company. We were trying to find investors or somebody to buy it. And John had just started talking about how Robert had tried to sell the company, but now he's like, "We got refunded. We're starting to close deals again." And I'm like, "You don't have a creative staff still?" He goes, "No, it's just me. And I got two young employees. That was Lauren Liu and Alex Tomashinas that were working over there." And he goes, "But I need a team." And I said, he goes, I got to figure that out. I said, "What if I gave you a great opportunity?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, I have a catalog I need to sell, and I know a really great team that you could probably get with that catalog." He goes, "Are you kidding?" That was like Thursday. They signed an NDA on Friday. Then they brought in Helen Murphy. The following week was CMA week. So I met her, and we closed that deal December 31st of 2018. That's all happened in like 6-7 weeks.
That's the quickest anything's ever happened in the music business.
We were motivated. They were motivated. My partner was happy. I was happy. So we sold it, and I started there in January 2019. And less than a month over there, Ozier left, which also turned into a great opportunity because then I just started doing his job.
And you're back in the ejector seat.
I was back in the ejector seat. That was fun times over there at Anthem for me. And then Mike Molinar threw me a life jacket, and I've been at Big Machine ever since.
Wow.
When did you start over there again?
2021, I think.
Nice.
Was the date.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you guys are rocking and rolling over there. It's awesome to see.
That is a crazy successful company.
Yeah.
It's had some big artists on it.
We've done well with artists, but on the other side, Mike and Alex, Mike started it. Heddle came on about a year later. I think this is our 14th year this June as a company.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Mike is one of the most brilliant strategists, business minds. I put him in the 1%er. I'll blow up his ego a little bit, but
don't do Molinar that way. He's not that
terrible.
great.
There's a rarity of people that I see. A lot of us know publishing, but he knows. He's on the MLC board. He works with the Music Health Alliance. He could write legal. He could be a lawyer. He can write up full contracts. He also understands the creative. He's a great song guy. So he knows all of it. And that's a next level stuff. He's smart. He's right up there. I always tell him, I was like, you could take David Israelite's job if he ever left.
I don't know, man. That dude's...
Yeah. He's on that par.
He's a machine.
He scares me.
They had a vision and they knew what they wanted to do. And they had just signed great writers and really developed an amazing company. I was excited to get over there because I was like, I wonder what the secret sauce is. There's no secret sauce. It's just you do the work. And... everybody in the indie world, the key is you just got to do everything better than the majors. You always got to sign great talent. We all know that, right? Yep. But are you giving them white glove treatment? Are you, signing the right writers that fit the mold of what you know to do? And then you just go after it.
Yeah.
So,
that's it.
And I know that sounds, silly, but it's the truth.
No, it's
people
true.
Go, how's publishing changed? I'm like, it hasn't. Literally has not. In my 30 years, I do the same thing. What's that? Because people go, what's your title? Song plugger. That's what I don't care if I'm VP, GM, tape guy. I'm doing the same job. You're signing writers, and you're taking songs and trying to get them cut.
You're selling the song.
And you're developing writers. You take bets on artists. That's it. None of that's changed at all.
It's true.
Where my money comes from and how much I get, that's changed. How we deliver the songs.
The way it's consumed.
Remember those little DAT tapes you'd go running around with? I started, it was reel to reel. Like I was transferring reel to reel. There was a final, we were finishing off reel to reel, transferring all that to DAT. About the time the catalog was all set there, then everybody's like, oh, we're going to CD. All right, let's go to CD. So then you're burning CDs. And then the light speed, you jump to, we had the first hard drive at Hamstein. I was nerdy. I'm always tech forward. I like that stuff. And I remember talking Bill Ham into buying. I'm like, we could do this, and he loved that stuff. And I gave him a budget. I remember buying a 1 gig hard drive for $1,000.
$1,000.
So we got my IT guy and I. We walked through it. We put a whole server in the server room. It was dedicated to music. We loaded up all the music, and I remember our IT guy goes, "Okay, I think it's gonna work. Everybody go in the room and click on the same song." And we did it, and everybody's office was playing the same song. I remember all of us walking out of our house going, this is the coolest. How does this work?
Yeah.
And Lutheran was at Zomba and Lynn Gann. I remember them coming over and looking. They go, I heard y'all got this. Let us come over. And so people were coming over to see it. And they're like, this is, because you could fly through songs. That was you could get through so many songs because you had to fast forward on the other ones. And you're like, oh man, you just click to the next one. So cool.
Epic.
And now we have 500 gigabytes in our pocket.
Yeah. I mean, it's stupid.
It's amazing.
And now everything's on the cloud.
Yeah, well, there's that too. And Box and all the backups, because if you've ever lost a hard drive of your catalog, you will rue the day.
That happened at Curb, in 08, 09. We had one little dedicated server to the publishing catalog, and no backup. No backup. And that sucker crashed, and I'd say Curb spent probably around $10,000 getting that hard drive recovered, and then we fortified it after that. And
it's good to have backups.
Always run. I had a RAID system where I had 4 drives backing up at all times. I learned that mistake really early in our journey into this journey, and so anyway, it was but all that's changed, but the business of what we do hadn't changed.
No.
Hell, contracts really haven't changed.
What was
either.
the first song you heard? You were like, oh, when you started plugging songs, throwing the songs around town.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. There wasn't one that you were like, the first song that you got somewhere?
No. Well, I can remember my first cut, but that was funny enough, it was a Chuck Jones song called Bury the Shovel that I'd heard when he turned it in. He wrote it with a guy named Chris Arms, and it was just really different.
Yeah.
And I took it on a tape and I ran it over to Allison. Dropped it off at Giant Records because they were cutting a Clay Walker record, and they called back, which is funny. I'm working with Allison again, but she was my first cut, and it was my first single. I think it went to 12 or 14.
Really
nice.
Yeah.
So I felt like, this is easy. Just dropping off tapes and things are happening.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was the first one I
Nice.
remember. Man, my mind, like, I can't, if people ask, that's a weird question. I can't remember. There's songs, that are some of your favorites, but titles get jarbled up in my brain from back then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's blurry.
No, you
I
answered
consumed
it
a lot
fine.
of alcohol and other substances.
Don't know what you're talking about, Tim.
Been sober about 6 years, so
Good for you,
almost
dude.
7.
Nice.
So but I can't recover those brain cells.
No.
I understand those too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the hard drive's spinning, but I'm not recalling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I remember like melodies and like, I remember things like, I remember the day Shapiro and Chris wrote with Rhett, and they wrote "That Ain't My Truck," because I remember him coming as a young artist and Tom talking about it. And I remember them writing with Sarah Evans when they wrote some of those great Sarah Evans songs. I remember things like that. I remember the first time I met Keith Urban. And, because that's a random. His manager then was Greg Shaw, and the Pluggers were out at lunch, so I was the only person in the office. And I hear the door, I go up, and this guy's a really thick Australian accent. Says, "Hey, I'm Greg. This is my artist Keith, and we're here to meet your team." And I'm like, "Oh, well, they're not here." So I just sit and chat. I remember thinking in my head, with that accent, this will never work. But little did I know, I was
Speaking of
wrong.
taking care of the creatives.
Yeah. But Keith has been the same. He's one of those epic artists, like for all the years, we're not like best friends and text each other, but he remembers we used to run around. He used to write at the office all the time. He's always been nothing but great, super nice, super respectful. And
I remember because Keith, had the ranch. And
that was
like, he was.
Remember Jack's Guitar Bar? Were y'all around when he did a residency there? Yeah.
I remember. I mean, he had some hits, and people knew who he was. He wasn't a superstar yet. And I remember going to a Grammy party down in Hillsborough Village because they would host
nomination
those,
party.
Yeah, they had those outdoor concerts.
Oh, that was the block parties. Yep. Yeah.
The block parties, and Keith played one.
Yeah.
And there was like 45 people there.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Because it was when they did them over there at the building on Wedgewood,
and he was like, "Come on, y'all, it's a concert, have fun." And like not long after that, somebody like you came out and his world exploded.
Yep.
But it's like nobody cared that Keith was there at that time. And I couldn't believe it.
I remember Jerry and them, they played a South by Southwest when they were signed in the first show, and they just smoked everybody on stage. His live shows are just insane.
He's bananas good, dude.
Yeah. He's really good.
Yeah.
Great guitar player.
Yeah.
So I remember moments like that when you hear stuff for the first time. You go, "Oh, that's really good.
Yep.
They're going to be really good."
There are flashes you see in town. I remember seeing Lee, and I'm like, "Well, this dude's going to be a star one day."
Yeah.
We all came up at the same time.
Great voice.
Yeah, dude. It's like there's certain people that I couldn't. Chris Stapleton for the longest time, I was like, I don't know why this guy isn't huge.
It's a real head scratcher.
Biggest voice I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Liz Rose sent me his work tapes when they first signed him. You know how we do. And I remember she goes, "Oh, have you heard my new guy, Chris?" And I'm like, "No." Sent me over a CD of just some of the Schedule A and stuff. And 2 songs in, I called her. I'm like, "What is this?
Yeah.
Why has this guy not got a deal?"
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, he will at one point." But man, I had that for the longest time. And one of my writers borrowed it off my desk at Parallel. And I knew better than let a writer borrow it. And I've never seen it again. I'm really weird. I like to keep that stuff when you have things like that. Old work tapes.
Yeah.
I remember
CDs.
Chris came in, I wrote with him and Corey Mayo at EMI. And Chris had short hair.
Yeah.
It was like right after he left Vanderbilt. And I just wanted to talk to him about Vanderbilt football. I was like, "How was it playing?" He did not want to have any talk. He didn't want to talk about that at all.
Did he play at Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like for half a second or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I knew that either. There was a time way back, Machine, when he was playing a ride around, and it was at 12th and Porter. This is back when he would, drink some back then. And he did a song called Only Talk to God When I'm Drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Oh, my gosh, dude. Like, you're just like, holy Nikes.
It's
That's the
first note out of his mouth is usually...
I remember watching him at John Rich's house at Mount Richmore.
Have you remembered anything from John Rich's house? You're a better man than me.
Have you been to his place?
Many times.
You know, he has that stage, and John was doing something. I think he was doing
disco, cowboy saddle.
Bar on one end.
He was doing a Gretchen Wilson album release party, and invited a bunch of people out. I guess Chris must have had a song on the album or something, and he'd been drinking, and John's like, "Hey, man. Chris, love for you to get up on the stage and sing a song," and he was blasted. And so he gets up there on a bar stool and he's just like head down, playing guitar, just barely singing, but still good. He's still killing it. And then he did so good. John's like, "Well, we were supposed to get like Big and Rich. We were supposed to get up and play after this, but I don't think we're going to do that now."
You can't follow that voice. Man, no, it's hard.
Wouldn't want to do that. Yeah.
No,
he's awesome.
Yeah. What you got going on right now? You're excited about?
Just signed Mr. Joe Clemens. Really pumped about him. He's freaking fantastic. Yeah, he's doing we just did that deal, so just really getting our feet wet with him. I mean, I've known him forever. I actually talked to him when I had Parallel, and because he and Herd and that whole crew and Joey Hyde and SIS, they would bang around and just come and steal beers out of your fridge, and raid your a house and just hang out, which I always thought was cool. And we have a new artist we signed, Lainey Gardner, that's now she's signed over at Broken Bow, BBR, and super pumped about the music she's writing. She's just a gem, man. Super cool, super creative. I really like where the music's going. I think she's really starting. She's got some already out. Of course, super happy for Daniel Ross, who's just really hitting a stride right now with, he had Lies, but he's getting into a lot of production and just crushing. So those are some of the highlights. Ryan's record's coming out on, funny enough, on our label now, because he was at Sony and got off of that. And
I'm glad he's making a comeback. He's a very talented guy.
Dude, this record's so good. He was just he just got back from London and was sharing that he got to go into Abbey Road and do some recording. I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, right.
So I'm pumped about that. Then we got our Troy's been doing great. I work with Troy directly on my roster, and he's really coming in, getting a lot of cuts. He's got a lead cut, Kill the Man. I don't know when that's coming out.
Nobody does.
Nobody does.
Okay, good.
That's coming from
I would like to know. I have songs on there too.
Sierra hadn't returned my phone calls.
Who's Sierra?
I don't know. Is she in the building? Can I chase her down?
Yeah.
But he's been doing great he's on the Cody record, and so that's pretty fun. So he's
a super talented guy too.
Yeah, he is.
Now I feel like I've named some names. I should name the whole roster, but that would take forever. But those are some of the ones. Those are some of my my highlights. So always excited to get to work with such talented people, and of course Laura Veltz has been crushing. She's been doing a lot of fun stuff, man. She's got this young artist she's been working with, Lauren Spencer Smith. It's just Adele-ish. I call it, that's what the kids call it. I'm like, I go back to like Whitney Houston and Mariah's early stuff. She's just a singer. It's it's more pop directed, but it's just woman's voice kills me. You can find her online.
Nice.
That stuff. You talk about first song they turned in and you push play and you're like, what the hell is this voice, man? 'Cause she's got pipes. Man. I like a good singer.
Nice.
So that's been pretty fun. That's what I think's probably what gets me most fired up right now is the breadth of not just our market in general, but Nashville as a whole right now. It's really fun. I'm a rock guy. There's so much rock here now. Johnny Hawkins from Nothing More moved to town. He's doing a lot of riding around because I got a writer, Cam Walker, that lives in that space. I love what Bayless has been doing and, big loud rock. And we have our rock label. And it's, for me, that's just kind of fun because we put out Motley Crue's last record on our label. Yeah. I'm like, if you'd have told me as a kid, going back, because that was one of my bands.
Dude.
I'm like, you told me I got to work for a publishing company that I was that close to Motley Crue. That would be crazy. And then at Anthem, they had Rush, which drummer.
Oh, yeah.
And the Rush catalog. So
God rest Neil.
Yeah, that was a sad day.
Dude,
never really get to hang out with him. I hung out with Geddy and Alex some in my day. Neil's not, he wasn't really the people person. He's an introvert. He liked to hide.
Dude, I did Waiting for Wishes, the charity thing, Make-A-Wish Foundation. But we'd be celebrity waiters at the Palm. And for some reason, they wanted me and Chad to do that. And
okay.
But one year, they were like, "You're going to be bartending with Neil or Vince," and I'm like, "What? Who?" It's like Vince Neil.
No crap,
dude. I was such a fanboy. hey, you're Vince Neil.
You're Vince.
You know who you are?
Hey, remember that time?
Shout. Was he cool?
You know, God, nicest dude in the world.
Yeah.
And at one point they're like, "Hey, you need to get Vince, and y'all need to go out and run around the tables." And I'm like, "Me and Vince?"
Yeah.
It's like, "Yeah, you need to go tell him." I was like, "You want me to go tell Vince Neil what he needs to do?"
I imagine he's pretty used to people telling him
I walked
where he
in
needed
like,
to be. Let me clarify, not what to do, but hey, Vince, you need to be here.
It's like, excuse me,
thanks.
Dr. Feelgood, can we run out? But it was great, man. But
did y'all shout at the devil?
We shout at the devil. I just kept singing his songs to him. Home sweet, just all over it.
That's
girls,
funny.
girls, man, come on.
Yeah,
you want to take
They're all still alive, which is kind of crazy.
I can't believe Mick Mars is still upright.
Yeah, he was older when they started. Older.
He was like 70 years old in the 70s.
Yeah.
He's almost as old as Billy Montana.
That's getting there. Yeah.
Tim, we love you, and we thank you for everything you do for songwriters. And
well, thanks.
And I've known you for a long time.
2024 AIMP Song Champion of the Year. I only say that because I have to hand my title off this year, and it's coming up. I'm very sad.
Well, you're definitely very deserving of that. I've known you for a long time, and I've always admired you and your hustle for your craft and the way you treat your writers and everybody. And so definitely very deserving. And
well,
I was glad when you got that award.
Yeah. And your arms look great.
Oh, thank you. 20 years of work, man.
Been staring at your veins the whole time. It's kind of weird, not gonna lie.
And I didn't even pump today, man.
He just flexed on you.
Could you use those arms to do something for us?
Sure.
Spin this wheel of shame over here.
Oh, there's actually a wheel of shame?
There is a wheel of shame.
Oh, no. I don't know if I like this.
It's special. Go ahead and get that finger up there. Curl that finger up there. Spin that thing.
Is this like Wheel of Fortune?
Yeah.
Yeah, except there's no, you don't buy
Except
vowels.
it's shameful.
I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but I don't like any of the names I saw on there.
What does it say?
Never have I ever.
Okay.
Perfect.
At least I'm not getting slapped.
Tortilla slap is really good.
No, I don't need that. That looks painful.
It's not.
I eat tortillas. I don't slap people with them. I waste it.
No, it's so it's a glorious thing.
Chubby Bunny.
Chubby Bunny's the best thing in all time.
Chubby Bunny is epic.
Pinchy what?
Pinche pendejo.
Pinche
Okay, you might have to
pendejo.
explain that one.
Spanish for David's awesome.
It's not.
I know enough to know it ain't that.
No.
All right, Tim Hunze. Never has Tim Hunze ever eaten a whole gallon of ice cream at once.
That's the dumbest one we've ever had.
He picked it.
I can say probably honestly no. Half gallon for sure, but a whole gallon? Did it say whole gallon?
Whole gallon.
No way.
I have.
That's they're sold in half gallon. A whole gallon's a lot.
Gallon is a lot, unless you're real high.
Yeah, even then though, you're gonna hurt.
Yeah,
That ain't
I
gonna
didn't
go
say
well.
you weren't going to poo yourself later.
That's gonna not end well.
Let's do a bonus one. Never has Tim Hunze ever cock blocked a friend.
Oh,
For sure
for sure. If I had a name, it's probably my buddy Chip Tompkins back in the day. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
And that's the biggest dick
Bless
move
him.
of all time.
Yeah, we weren't friends there for a minute, I guess.
This is what's funny is like, you're like one of the nicest people I know. But I know you're
was a
you're a
teenager
wild
once.
guy. But I mean, you're like a reverend now too, right?
Yeah,
What?
true story.
He's a reverend. He's a man of the cloth.
I had to call you Reverend Tim Hunze?
I don't force people to do that.
No.
I just love hearing all of Tim's stories. 'Cause I'm like, he's such a man of the cloth. And
Oh, it's amazing.
Before I was that, I was a lot of other things. Sinner and Saints. There's a reason that we talk about
church
that.
Church is full of hypocrites, bro.
That's right.
Yeah, marry them and bury them now. I definitely lead a whole different lifestyle than what I did.
That was real.
Back in the day.
All right, Tim, before you leave, we have our official Twangtown initiation for you. So what I have here, you might have done this before.
I wondered if this was going to happen.
I bet
I
you have done this before.
No.
A bottle of Atomic Rhino smelling salts.
I've heard about this. Yeah. Funny enough, I just saw a TikTok where what's the new comedian, Dana that's on Universal.
Oh, Danae Hayes.
Danae Hayes just literally, before I came over, I saw her do it, and it looked
everybody stole our idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
All right, you're gonna have
here's
so
as
much
bad
fun.
as I think it's gonna be.
It's gonna be awful. But you
can
know,
ask Gozer about his experience after you do yours.
I'd imagine I've done more. Nope, not gonna say that out
loud. Haven't we all, Tim?
I've done things Ozier probably has.
All right, yeah. Put your water down. You might want to put the lid on that thing.
Well, I don't know if I need it after I had this.
No, you don't. You're not gonna need it. But put the lid on it because you might kick your water bottle.
You'll be fine.
All right. So what you're gonna do? I'm gonna take the lid off. You're gonna hold it right here and give it a big proper man sniff.
Yeah.
I just saw Dana do this. It did not go well.
Get it up there. Come on.
Oh, my God. Why do people do that? Oh, my God. My nose is on fire.
Someone like you who lifts weights, like the bodybuilders, they'll get this stuff and they'll take a big whiff before they have to lift really heavy weights.
Does it work?
I don't know. You have to get your own bottle off Amazon.
I feel like you need a time to recover. Like, I'm not going to just go into lifting weights. My eyes watering.
It's so bad.
I mean, I'd rather eat a hot pepper.
Yeah.
I've done that.
It's terrible.
Yeah. I've eaten.
It'll go away.
Scorpion ghost, but it's already gone. But my eyes are not.
Initially, you think you're gonna die.
Yeah, it's there rough. For a minute.
We almost killed Jim Ed Norman.
Yeah.
You made Jim Ed do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the first one to do it.
We
might want to check that their hearts can handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be
he probably has a warning on there that you shouldn't check.
I'm sure Jim Ed's done worse.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
He came out of the 80s and 70s.
And he hung out with the Eagles.
He lived with like Don Henley. It's fine. He's fine.
He's done rails off things.
Yeah. On that note, Tim, thank you for being here, bub. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, David.
Tell them what they need to do.
Yes, we are available on all streaming platforms. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or X, whatever you like to call it. Yeah. Rate, like, subscribe, comment, follow.
Fund.
Send
us money.
All the things.
Yeah, send us free stuff. It's fine. I'm fine. Thank you, kids. Thank you.
All right, bye, everybody.